Okay, now we finish everything up. She is nice and dry. Sometimes drying is a very involved process. Thankfully with drop coat dogs like hers, it usually is fairly quick. I don't recall the time frame off the top of my head, but in the other video you'll see of her being bathed. It'll contain the drying. And I'm pretty sure it was under 10 minutes. But anyhow, once you're finished drying, you put them back on the table and you're going to do a nice comb out all over. Don't fear, this is just manipulating her head to be still. And she's young, and this is one of her very first times being groomed. Second time with me. I'm not really sure how many times before me she's been groomed. So she's still getting used to everything with the grooming. I like to recommend dogs come in at 8 weeks of age and begin their grooming careers, because this is going to happen their entire lives, either by yourself or by a professional like me. I mentioned in another video, but I'll mention it here too, since I don't know if everyone has watched all the videos. But when you're brushing out an area that has tangles, make sure you're using your slicker brush instead of your comb. The slicker brush is going to do the main brunt of the work, and then you're going to follow up with the comb to check your work. The comb is just to ensure that there are no tangles left behind. And so you're just going to run your comb through, and if it doesn't have any snags, you're all good. Before the bath, I did her sanitary, her paw pads and things like that, but I like to be very, I guess, over the top, and I like to go back over the paw pads again, because what will happen is the hairs kind of spring to life after the bath, and so there will be hairs that are missed that you're going to go back behind now and catch. As mentioned in the prior video that shows the pre-bath processes, I use a 30 blade to do my paw pads. Others use a 40, and that's fine, but I prefer the 30 because it has the least chance of cutting the dog. You can still cut the dog with the 30, but the 40 is a very higher risk blade to use, and the odds of being nicked are much, much greater. So for a new groomer, when you go to scoop the eye corners, you're going to use the outer edges. Outer edge, outer edge. And for that, you're going to use a 10 blade. And before the bath, I did go through her face like that to get the majority of that hair away. But I like to follow up with a 30 blade and just do that same thing right there. And the 30 is just going to get it tighter. I do not recommend you doing that if you're not an experienced groomer. You can catch the eye corners and cut the dog very badly. So only do that if you're very experienced and if the dog you're working on is very well mannered. So with this service today, all I'm doing is a face, feet, and fanny. So I'm going over her head, making sure just to trim it out. The guard I'm using is the Wahl O guard, which is a 5/8 blade for those who want to know the exact measurements, because a lot of other guard companies have the same number for their guards but different lengths. So that's what it is. The 5/8 blade, yellow Wahl O guard, zero guard. Depends on who you're talking to, how they're going to say it. So just neaten that out really quick. I'm going to get my comb and my shears, and then I'm going to neaten up the face and the ears. So when I do my visor, I just brush it all forward, and then I take my shears and I'm cutting the bulk hair away here. You'll see the hair moving around because I have the ceiling fan going. And these are chunkers, curved chunkers. I got these off of Wish. They are not a brand name shear, it's a generic shear. But I'm a generic person, and I don't have a whole lot of name brand nothing. The most name brand anything I have is going to be my shampoo and my sprays. And at that point I'm a brand whore for sure. Before the wash, I tipped the ears, and I'm going to outline those tips now with your, I like to do straights, some like to use curves. Straights are safer. You're going to fluff out the corner of the hairs on that ear. Find the end of the ear with your fingers, your thumb and your index finger, and you're going to protect that skin by being at the edge to prevent you catching it. Now, as mentioned in the other video, ears bleed and bleed and bleed and bleed and bleed. So try not to cut them if you can. And that just neatens up those ends, so when she's alert, she's got a more defined ear. Alright, now I'm going to round out the feet with a drop-coated dog like this. I'm just brushing it down, and then I'm going to trim round. If you do, I'll show you in a second. Be sure that you're very gently trimming here, because sometimes the toenail will get in the way. When you have a fluffier coated dog, like a poodle, fuzzy coats like that, you're going to want to take and bring this hair up straight and then cut along that. But if you do that with a drop coat, you're going to have a shelf. You're going to make it to where it's very hard to blend. So just do a round with a drop coat just like this. It's going to be easier for all involved, and it looks nice. And remember, with this dog, she has back dew claws. They don't hang down too terribly that my clipper or anything's going to get caught into it, but you also always have to be in mind on that. Now, depending on how you feel about the dog, the client, some people only have that couple of things in their service for the face, feet, and fanny. I like this dog and I like this owner, so I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm just going to go ahead and neaten up some of these other areas. I was using the A-guard, which is also 3/4 of an inch length, and I went reverse on her tummy and her chest just to get some of those stray flyaways, and that's going to look a lot nicer on the side of her body when she turns. And I used that blade in reverse. In reverse, it probably drops it down to the 0 blade, which is a 5/8, or it drops it down to a 1 guard, which is a 1/2 inch. Different coats will cut differently, so it just took it down a little bit more. Whereas if you were going with the grain on a drop coat, you're likely to never hit any of those hairs. You have to If you're doing a guard coat on a drop coat, you really should do it in reverse to get an even finish. If you go with the grain with a guard comb, you're going to have a very uneven coat, a lot of flyaways, a lot of unevenness. It just isn't nice. It doesn't look nice. So that's pretty much all I'm doing on her today. I might go ahead and clean up a little bit on these legs. And I like to use my chunkers whenever possible just because they're awesome. One of the best inventions in the grooming field for sure. Chunkers versus thinners. The difference is chunkers take away more hair quicker than with a thinner. A thinner will leave a finer cut, but a chunker just gets it done a little bit faster. And if you have really good skills and you do your chunker instead of a thinner, you can still get the same appearance, but you just gotta know what you're doing. So I'm just gonna go ahead and look her over really quick and make sure I'm happy with the final product. You have to be very careful with these kind of dogs. Well, any dog, not these kind of dogs, but when you go to do scissoring around the face, in the mouth, especially when they have their little tongues flopping around, you can get it nicked really easily. And it's ears, tongue, nose. Those are the most, those areas bleed the most on the dog if they get injured. So I think I'm going to give her a bow today. Last time she was in, she got a bandana. And these bows I just got off of eBay. You can get them pretty much anywhere. And they're not very expensive. You can see the few of those. Yeah, I guess that's okay. Yeah, we're gonna roll with it. Finally, I'm going to spritz her with cologne. I like to do one spritz of the brushing spray. It's a nice conditioning spray and it really leaves a very, very soft, silky, feel overall with just a couple of spritz. Don't go overboard with this either. This product is the Nature Specialty Quicker Slicker. I'm not sure if my camera is picking it up, so that's why I'm moving it around. Love, love, love this stuff. It helps with matting, matted dogs as well. And then I'm going to finish up with the Nootie, Nootie, Nootie Cherry Blossom. This is one of my very, very favorite sprays by this company. And again, very light, because you don't want your finishing products to leave a residue and then ruin what you've done to the body. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed. This is Miss Diamond, and she is all finished. Yes, ma'am.